Okay, Steelers draft. Oh my God. That's all I got to say about this draft. Oh my God. It's like, I don't know. It's like the whole thing was like made for the Steelers or something.
They
Yeah.
actually drafted for need, and they drafted what appears to be solid players.
You know,
At the right spots with the right value. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Joe, you and I have been saying each week that, this is their most important draft in maybe 2 decades. And I thought, if we come on here and they get the first 2 picks right, or 3, then you'd be kind of happy and say, hey, they didn't do a bad job. I feel like they hit it out of the park. It's tough with a draft because the draft really isn't going to tell us how successful it was until at least a year to 2 years from now. But just some of the value that they got, you both just hit it on the head. The value that they got when they got these people, it really felt like their most intelligent, well thought out, executed draft in about 20 years for me.
Yeah, I totally agree. The fact that like Porter was projected to go somewhere in the first round, there were projections, and again, they're just mocks, and they mean absolutely nothing. But there were several that even said that Porter wasn't going to fall to 17. So it was like the fact that we got him at 32 is amazing.
There were so many that had Porter going to 16 to Washington or 17 to the Steelers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he lasts till 32. It worked out perfectly.
I will say to Joe, I texted you, Joe, or whatever I said, I think they're going to trade up to get Broderick Jones, and then I think they'll catch Porter some way on the way back. And I mean, it just worked out. They wanted Jones so bad.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that they got him, and now there's this whole little drama on the side where the Jets are pissed at the Patriots because of it, because the Jets really, really wanted him very badly. And now it's kind of funny that we've kind of the kids are having a fight over on the side, and we walk away with the tackle. And he's a eye contact. He's the kind of kid that could be here for the rest of his life. He's a 20-year tackle, and then to get Porter Jr. there where they got him. And then it just kept getting better. Usually after that, you're like, okay, well, let's see if we get some fillers in here, some needs. But Keanu Benton, he's great. He's a perfect tackle for their 3-4. He's great. He had 36 tackles, 10 for losses last year, 4.5 sacks. That's exactly what you want out of that guy. And now you got to fill him in there. They needed that. They desperately needed a defensive lineman. They got it. Then you go down Darnell Washington. Not sure how he fell down there. That kid's a freak.
Well, yeah.
Now he
other thing. Yeah.
Right.
It wasn't a surprise for sure.
Yeah, all the guys that they got. And in fact, Corey Trice, here's a kid, and Joe knows I'm the Big Ten guy. I've seen him play on a number of occasions. His injuries are what killed him. He probably is one of the top 3 cornerbacks off the board, but he had ACL tear. Broke his ankle freshman year going in, high ankle sprain 2020, the ACL tear, then the groin pull last year. So he's had a plethora of injuries that have really kind of anchored him or weighed him down. But if he ends up being healthy at 6'3", he's a big physical corner. I don't think we'll see him much this year, although Tomlin likes to get the defensive backs in no matter what. But I think you're going to see he could pay off big time if he's able to stay healthy. That could be the one we all talk about.
I don't understand when a player falls because of injury.
Yeah, they happen.
Don't you know? That's exactly. Yeah, it happens all the time. It's like, don't you know they're allowed to recover? Like,
right, yeah.
It's like that's how the Steelers got Heath Miller 15 years ago. It's like, well, he had that hernia, and that's like. You're allowed to recover from those things. Yeah, maybe he's out for a few months. So what? Like, yeah. I don't understand that. But hey, that's what happened. That's what happened with Trice. That's what happened with Darnell Washington. Supposedly he had some knee issue. Like,
yeah, you hear about it all the time, in the draft especially. And you also hear oftentimes they're not injury prone in the pros. Or maybe they have one fluke injury like 3 or 4 years into their career. it's so interesting. Obviously, they do have those players that they come in, they were injury prone in college, and they come into the pros and they just keep getting hurt and blah 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 blah. But it's just like I feel like it happens the opposite more often than not. You know what I mean? Like a player falls because of his medicals and he gets drafted at a super value pick, and he ends up not having any injury. You know,
Right. He still had 12 passes defended this year, which is very good. But to Allison's point in the very beginning of the show here, it's what they got. And if you look comparatively as to what they did last year versus this year, right? We talked about Omar Khan, the new guy. Last year in this round, they were picking a quarterback, and all of us were like, why in the hell are you picking a quarterback? I mean, I was like, we don't need him. And the pick right after that went to the Bears, who drafted, and I forget his name again, Joe. I have to remember this. The tackle that ended up starting for them, who went to the Pro Bowl this year, and they got him in the 7th round. This year they get Trice, and then they got Spencer Anderson out of Maryland, who actually, because he's playing in the Big Ten, I think he gets overshadowed by Paris Johnson Jr. and some of the guys from Michigan. He was actually the #1 guy in the Big Ten for passer rating. I mean, he was very good. Now he's 6'5" and 320. I've already heard rumors that they want to work on his weight a little bit for the NFL because of the speed. But he's a guy that's probably not only going to make the team, but he can see some snaps. That's what you want to get out of your 6th and your 7th round guys, to Allison's point. Not a quarterback that didn't even end up making. I mean, that's like that guy.
He wasn't even a camp arm. That was so weird.
It's like that guy that drafts, or the girl that drafts the kicker way too early in your fantasy draft.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, what's interesting about Anderson is I saw the school and I was just like, all right, here we go. Another Tomlin, Maryland guy. You know what I mean? Like, he loves his Maryland guys. So that's interesting. I hadn't really read up anything about him because you look at the 7th rounders and you often think, he's not going to make the team or whatever. But so I haven't really read anything about him, but that's interesting. So you feel like it's possible, you know what I mean? If he maybe, does his weight thing, then maybe he could get some snaps.
He's not going to start, but he's
sure
have some time. I mean, cue the Dan Moore jokes. I've been laughing already how some of these guys have been talking about Broderick Jones will probably work him in behind Dan Moore maybe. No, I mean, a set of tires from a 59 Buick are better than Dan Moore. Jones needs to play. And if you can plug Anderson in and get him some experience, he needs to play. I don't want to hear any more Dan Moore. Come on. So, yeah.
Yeah, you don't trade up for a player and then have him sit behind Dan Moore.
No.
I mean, who's right?
When you put it that way, that's exactly it. Yeah. They got their guy. So
are they going to move Dan Moore? Tomlin loves Dan Moore, apparently. Are they going to move Dan Moore? Is it going to be Chooks' job? Is he going to be out of the job? It's just so interesting to see. It's going to be a really interesting mini camp and camp periods coming up here for sure.
Not a bad point. I take Dan over Chooks because Chooks last year, 5 sacks allowed, one of them just not good. So
and he's so expensive. Like he's a lot of money.
Yeah, way too much.
Yeah.
What? Yeah. I mean, what is Broderick Jones going to learn from Dan Moore? What not to do? Like, hey, look at him.
Right. Yeah.
But the joke I heard about the Steelers trading up to get Broderick Jones was, okay, so they got him at 14. They basically got him before the Jets were going to get him at 15, and they did that with Belichick, and they just traded a 4th round draft pick. The Belichick was so happy to screw over the Jets. It's surprised that he's not the one that gave the Steelers the 4th round pick to get back.
Right? Yeah, that would have been funny for sure. But yeah, anything that Belichick can do to screw the Jets, he probably was like, gladly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, sure. It's not good to me. Let's screw the Jets.
I forget who it was. Somebody said, Aaron Rodgers is already pissed at the Jets because he had told them that he had concerns about the offensive line. They said, well, we'll address it. Whoops.
So
that took about a week.
Whoopsie.
Whoopsie daisy.
Well, this is all a moot point because the Jets are winning the Super Bowl because he threw a slow motion pass to I think Garrett Wilson today. So that's it. People are like, oh my God, look how good this looks. The Jets are going to be so like, it's one pass in mini camp, bro. What are we doing here?
Right.
They're in shorts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers. You can't take anything away from the guy. He's a jerk. He's not a good guy. He's a damn good quarterback. But look at some of these guys. Like last year, they had the Broncos, challenging the Chiefs for the AFC West title, and no, that didn't work out. I just, again, look, the draft was great, but we really won't tell how great it is in 2 years, and you can't tell me Aaron Rodgers and the Jets are going to the Super Bowl. But you're right, Joe. There's going to be guys out there that already have them in the AFC Championship game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's going to be interesting too when the schedule comes out.
Oh yeah.
A lot of Jets games on there, and they're not deserving. You know what I mean, of those slots, but it's only because Aaron Rodgers is there.
Spoiler alert, when the schedule comes out and we pick all the games, I have Steelers going 17-0. I don't know. You know what? They might actually go like 14-15-0, and then the other last 2-3 games, the other team just might forfeit. It's like, we're not dealing with the. I don't do. They just better pray that Dan Moore is playing that game or something like that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
right at tight end.
So they traded up to get Jones, and then you say, okay, now what? And you kept seeing Joey Porter fall. It's like, whoa, what the heck? And that Brian Branch kept falling too. It's like, what are they gonna do? And then of course the Will Levis reality show. The poor guy, they showed him every second with his mom and girlfriend. Poor guy. Like, how embarrassing is that? Like, they basically have to show like, hey, look at how terrible this guy's life is.
Right.
He's such a failure. Like, just mean.
Right. At least there was some guy, and I can't remember. Darren, you may know, that stayed. Like, there was some guy who thought he was going to go in the first round, and he didn't fly home that night or the next morning. He ended up staying. Yeah. So when they called his name, he was actually there. Will Levis left. He's like, F this.
Yeah, he's gone.
I don't blame him. I mean, that was just mean. That was just mean. I think they showed him his face more than any other player that entire night.
Well, and that's the problem again, because what happened there was, and we talked about that, Joe, a little bit in the pre-draft when we did last week. If there was a run on quarterbacks, I had a feeling he was going to drop, because he's just not. To me, he wasn't in that top echelon. I don't. I watched him for 2 years do okay at Penn State. Struggled to read the defense. Couldn't unseat Sean Clifford. When Clifford came back for his 15th year as a senior, he said, "Okay, I'm gone." He goes to Kentucky. He did okay at Kentucky. He didn't nothing earth shattering. Not bad. Definitely has an arm, but a lot of quarterbacks have an arm. We'll see what he does with Tennessee. I'm not so sure. I didn't see all the hype around him anyway. So when he fell down, he fell down. But again, a lot of it's need, right? And I think a lot of these teams have gotten a lot smarter over the years in how they draft. And there's just teams that didn't need a quarterback, so the poor kid's going to fall down to the second line. So it's not like
exactly.
Joe. It's not like you suck or you stink. It's
Exactly. That's just how it fell. That's just, yeah. So then we get to Friday, and the Steelers have the first pick of the second round. And the question is, do you trade it? Because maybe somebody's going to want to trade up to get Will Levis. Do you trade it? Do you, how far do you go back if you trade it? What do you get if you trade back? And the Steelers said, we're not going to take a chance. We're getting our guy. And they still ended up with Joey Porter Jr. Oh my God. That could not have happened better.
Yeah. I can't imagine the number of phone calls that they probably got, but apparently there just wasn't an offer rich enough. And really in the second round, even though it's pick 32, value wise, I don't know that they would have that the team would have had to give them technically very much for that pick. I feel like, but the Steelers probably would have liked them to overpay. And the
Steelers were asking a lot. The Titans were really almost ready to buy in, but the Titans wouldn't give them the high second round pick that the Steelers wanted. I think that was part of it. I think once it took a while, I kind of figured they were hearing somebody out and then they're making a phone call. But yeah, I mean, they got their guy. I think they knew all along, this is who we want. We want Joey Porter Jr. He's there. So it's going to take, like Allison said, it's going to take a lot. And they may have done one of those things where they kind of just threw the bid so high. If somebody was stupid enough, like the Tennessee Titans or the Jaguars, or these the Bears, they would come in and give him the next first round draft pick for 3 years to get it. But then,
Yeah, you never know.
there's like 9 Hall of Famers. Pro Football Hall of Famers were picked number 32. Like Drew Brees is in there. I mean, it's like insane. The couple guys have picked in that spot traditionally. So
Interesting.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, we kind of know what the asking price was, because right after the Steelers picked, Tennessee did trade up with whoever that was and get that pick. I don't remember what it was, but it wasn't that great of it. Was like, I think it was just like an extra third rounder or something like that.
Yeah,
It wasn't
Like a third rounder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then the question was, oh, well, they don't have a 4th round pick. They don't have a 5th round pick. They don't have a 6th round pick. Obviously they have to trade back. I'm like, who gives a crap?
Right.
I don't want them to trade, 49 or something like that, just for extra picks.
Right.
To me, that was stupid. But so they held, and at 49, they got Keanu Benton from Wisconsin, and I love it. You kind of knew it was coming, because this, that Andy Weidel, he's all about shore up the line. Look at the Eagles. The Eagles, they load their defensive line. So you knew it was coming, that they were going to get a defensive lineman. I love the Keanu Benton pick.
Yeah, I'm hearing comparisons to Javon Hargrave, which I think is interesting. And if that ends up being the case,
I hear comparisons to Tyson Alualu, and if that's the case,
oh god,
that's a win.
Oh, what? Oh, okay, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, Benton's a big kid. We got to see him a couple times. I mean, there was the game against, we were actually there in Wisconsin, and it was a Penn State game, and they couldn't run. He was just so dominant until they figured out how to double team him. They finally got the running backs loose, but he is so strong. He's like, big guy strong. Like I don't think you'll necessarily ever see him on the cover of, Men's Fitness or anything, but he's just like big man strength. He's very, very difficult, and he gets his arms, and he's what, he actually wraps and tackles, which is a dying thing. Yes. But hey, 10 tackles, 36 tackles behind the line last year, 10 for a loss, and 5 sacks and 4.5. But I mean, for a defensive lineman, interior defensive lineman, to have 5 sacks in the Big Ten, and he's good. He's really good. I was actually a little surprised he was there. So.
Yeah. So then they actually did trade back. I forget. Oh, they had the 80th. They had the 80th pick, and they moved back to 93, and they get that they get that 4th rounder that they lost. Like, okay, and they end up, and I'm paying attention, and Darnell Washington was actually trending. And the question was, why is this guy falling? This guy was supposed to go possibly late 1st round, definitely 2nd round, and here it is toward the end of the 3rd round, and he still hasn't been picked. And the Steelers get him. They would have got him at 80. It worked out perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about a big target. Holy crap! Like Kenny Pickett, when he was watching when he heard that pick, he was probably like, "Oh my gosh, like this is going to be amazing," with or without Matt Canada. Like you gotta think that there's going to be a lot of wrinkles in there with Darnell Washington for sure.
Well, kind of like to what Allison said earlier about sometimes injuries shouldn't hurt you as much as they do. His youth hurt him. Like he only played like 19 games, but the upside to him, if you watch Georgia at all this year, sometimes they lined him up in the slot. And before you realize, like, holy crap, here's this giant guy in a slot. We better protect him. And we talked about that with Kenny Pickett. He needs that slot guy. Maybe they got that with the guy from the Bears, but could you imagine lining this kid up in the slot, in which Matt Canada loves to do? And don't forget, we did not get to see the kid from Memphis last year that they drafted around this time, and he's a proverbial slot guy and got injured in camp.
Austin?
We never saw him all year. Yeah,
Calvin Austin. I can't.
Yeah.
I really hope it works out.
We may get to see him, and Joe, for him to fall where he did, what they get him. I mean, they said, "What the heck? We're going to pick him if nobody else is going to take him."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and it's another guy too that early on, I feel like just a couple weeks ago, he was projected to be like the top tight end off the board. So it's like, it's weird, you know what I mean? Like, because they're like, he can do everything.
Not that I put a lot of stock in what you see on the NFL Network. And
Right. Yeah,
but
but it's just interesting.
I found
you
it
know what I mean?
interesting that nearly all of them agreed that he was the steal of the draft, which
Yeah.
I found very interesting across the board. Like everybody thought the Steelers got to steal the draft right here. So we'll see.
He is he describes himself as another offensive lineman. He is a run first tight end, and that's perfect for what the Steelers want to do. I think the Steelers want to be a power run team, so it'd be perfect. And then maybe he learns. I don't think his receiving game is quite there yet, but how hard is it to throw to a 6'7" guy?
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
I'm so excited. I wonder what this means for Gentry.
Well, it's interesting because I'd mentioned that. I said, well, Gentry's out of it. You know what I mean? Because they had, Connor Hayward and everything, but now they're saying Connor Hayward, they're alluding to him moving to fullback or whatever. So it's like, well, then if that's the case, it'll be Freiermuth, Washington, and Gentry.
Yeah,
if
I'm
they
okay
end
with
up
that.
doing that with Hayward,
Yeah, as long as we're not throwing to him, when it's still, I'm gonna go there, Joe. As long as it's not 3rd and 9, and we're throwing a 2-yard behind the line pass to him, I'll be okay with it.
Mhm.
I keep hearing over and over again, and this was before the draft, the major weakness on the Steelers offense is Matt Canada. That is the problem. That's the wrench that might be thrown that messes the whole machine up. Is Matt freaking Canada might screw this up. I don't even think he could screw it up with these players.
No,
I wrote
he's
at the
got
top of my notes for tonight's show. No more excuses. Matt Canada has
That's
no
right.
more
Right,
excuses.
exactly.
That's
Yeah, he
right.
has all the tools now that he needs. If he can't pull this off, and I'm talking about the first half of the season, I don't want to see any of this start off. And whatever,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like just a slow start that they're typically known for. You know what I mean? I don't want to see that anymore. And it's like, because come mid-season, come the bye week, if they don't have a winning record, you would think that Matt Canada's on the hot seat.
It's the last year of his contract, so yeah.
I don't think so, because I don't think you do that. I would love if they did that, but I don't think they do that. Who did they bring in? Wait, didn't they bring in somebody as like an offensive assistant or something like that? Or am I dreaming that?
No, they did.
They brought in, and it's going to escape me right now. But yeah, you're right, Joe. They did.
Maybe they'll have whoever that is, or Mike Sullivan now that he's on coaching the Penguins.
People were already saying that he could be the next offensive coordinator if Matt Canada doesn't work out.
Yeah.
I'm looking it up
Yeah.
now.
So I could see something like that, because but you can't just change
Glenn Thomas.
Who's that?
Glenn Thomas. He was Matt Ryan's quarterback coach in Atlanta.
That's right.
Woohoo.
Allison's point, though, I think we're seeing a new generation of Steelers here, like with what Khan does, moving up in the draft, being very active free agency. If they do somehow start off to a hellacious start, like she said, maybe 1-5, 0-6, I think changes are going to be made. I don't think Mike Tomlin's going to have that call anymore where he says, no, we're fine. We're just going to weather the storm. I think Omar Khan will say, no, we're 0-6, 0-7, or 1-6. We're making a change.
It would be a massive, I mean, we don't know what the schedule is going to be, and it really doesn't matter, but it would be a massive disappointment if this team did not make progress.
Right. Yeah, I think you're right, though, Joe. I think it has to be I sort of feel like it maybe has to be a super bad first half of the season for them to, to consider getting rid of them. If they're even, or if they're maybe one game above 500 or vice versa, like they may end up just, playing out the rest of the season. But they do have, if you look at their opponents, they're gonna have one of the easiest strengths of schedules. You know what I mean? Like, if you believe in that. I don't really. It's fun,
about dang time, because usually they have one of the toughest.
Right. Yeah. It's fun to look at and fun to kind of play around with, but it's like really that the strength of schedule doesn't matter. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm in that same boat with you guys there. And coming off of how they finished last year, the free agent moves they made, this draft class, like I feel like the momentum all should be there. Are they going to start off 7-0? No, and they don't need to. But
No.
if they get out the gate and they're, let's say the first 8 games, if they go 5-3 over those first 8 games, I'm going to be pretty happy. You know, if it's anything better than that, I'm going to be ecstatic. But that would be great. We just don't want to see like what Allison's saying here. We don't want to see 1-5 or 1-6. That would be disastrous.
I just saw who they're playing. The AFC South.
Yes.
Well, that's 4-0 right there.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Right. Yeah.
That's, okay, maybe Jacksonville will put up a fight, but dang. But then it's also the NFC West.
Yeah, they had the Packers, without Aaron Rodgers. So
Right. Yeah, Jacksonville's like the New York Islanders of the NFL to us. It's like they'll play awful, but they'll play us like they're, the defending 10-time Super Bowl champions when they play us.
Right.
Ooh, they also play Baltimore, Cincinnati, and Cleveland. Hey, that's new. They're also at Las Vegas road trip and home to New England and home to Green Bay. Ooh, who knows what Green Bay is going to be like this year? They might be in a rebuilding year.
Hey, I'm telling you, once Yinzers figure out which week that is when they're in Vegas, they're all going. It's going to be a Yinzer takeover. The Strip will have terrible towels. It'll be a Yinzer fest. Those flights to Vegas are like $80. So, I mean, if they're all going,
My slot machine doesn't work. There's a terrible towel on it.
Right. They'll tie them to the handles like they do in the grocery stores at the freezer aisle.
Yes. Yeah, you put the arm with the terrible towel on it. So yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we'll see, but it's so exciting, and I already know. I mean, I joked that they're going to go 17-0, but I'm so excited. Imagine what Kenny Pickett's thinking. It's like they rebuilt the line for him. Imagine what Najee Harris is thinking. It's like, hey, buddy, we're gonna emphasize the run, and we got these awesome mauling offensive linemen that will destroy the other team. Najee Harris might like moonwalk into the end zone. He might it might be like one of those like Saving Private Ryan things where you just walk and you just see like laying down bodies everywhere, and you just stroll into the end zone.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we didn't even get to Nick Herbert yet. I mean,
yeah, Herbert.
5th round. That of all the guys, that was a guy I could not believe was there. After watching him play for the last 3 years, the last 2 years, he had 30 tackles for losses and 20 sacks. He is so quick. He's like a TJ Watt. I mean, you look at him and he's not a ton of weight. He just gets in there. He kind of reminds you like a Jack Lambert type linebacker. He's only like 205, but he sits in there, and now they got to figure out, because he's also played everywhere. So they can put him at outside linebacker, they can put him at edge, and they can complement both Watt and Highsmith. And this is also a need. And Joe, you've probably been campaigning that more than almost anybody. They really needed to address this, and they addressed that with a kid that I couldn't believe that was there. I mean, he's great.
It's perfect.
He could be the guy that we're all talking about when we do this podcast again in September, October.
I'm excited because it's needed depth on that with that offensive linebackers, because they just haven't had it the last couple years. And TJ Watt gets tired, and so does Highsmith.
He needs some rest.
Yeah. And you know who else needs rest? Cam Hayward.
Mm-hmm.
The man's 73 years old. Get him, let him sit down for a little bit. That's that's the thing. That's what I love about this is it's like, well, I mean, Cam Hayward is getting up there in age, and it is awesome that he is still an awesome defensive lineman, but he has to slow down. He has to reduce those number of snaps. So yeah, get some good depth behind it, because in the past when Cam wasn't in there, that defensive line went to shreds and they just ran all over them. So love it.
For sure. A+ draft, in my opinion. I know I'm biased, but you know what? Who cares?
Yeah, it almost could not have gone better for the Steelers. That's just amazing. And then the whole thing with Joey Porter Jr. is if he gets drafted by Tennessee or something like that, nobody cares. Nobody knows in Tennessee knows who Joey Porter is. But
Mhm.
here, that's like a big deal. He has something to live up to. You don't, if he screws up, that looks bad on his dad. You think his dad's going to allow that? You think his
Right.
dad is going to allow his reputation to be tarnished?
I know there's going to be a lot of Yinzers altering their Joey Porter jerseys this coming. I don't know what number he's going to have, but you know they're going to do it.
Wear 5.
Yes. Right.
Do us all a favor and wear 5. You put some duct tape. Put duct tape and put the word JR on there, and you just cover up the 1-5, and you can repurpose the jersey. Do it. Do it for us.
Thing to do, right? I mean, that just sounds like what everybody who owns a Joey Porter jersey would do, right?
Oh,
remember
totally.
The guys blacking out the Tommy Maddox jerseys, and they put Roe Pickett. I mean, it was fantastic. That's Yinzers to a T.
When you see duct tape on a Steelers jersey, that's now, hey, like I laugh that if you go into any church in Pittsburgh on a Sunday during football season, people will be wearing their Steelers jersey, and I thought, well, that's really in poor taste. But no, that's, you wear your Sunday best, and that Steeler jersey was probably the most expensive shirt, the most expensive clothes that you have with you. So yes, you wear your Sunday best, and that's your Steelers jersey.
That's because there's a priest wearing a white Steeler jersey underneath that.
Right.
You know there is. There's a few. There's a few. It's underneath the tunic and all that stuff. You know, the robes, the flowing robes of grace. Yeah, underneath that's Yinzers just trying to get out. I know Broderick Jones is going to wear 77. I don't know. I didn't see any of the other jersey numbers, Joe or Allison. I don't know if
we don't know.
I think fans are waiting on pins and needles for Porter to announce it.
Oh yeah, yes, that jersey will be gone.
He cannot wear 55 because cornerbacks can only wear 0 to 49.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
it'd be kind of cool though if he did, right? If he wore 55.
That would be amazing.
What happens with Washington too? You know, he's been pressing the issue of being able to wear 0, and I just don't see Rooney allowing that.
You don't think anybody will? No, somebody's going to wear 0.
Christian Gonzalez would have pushed to wear 0 if they would have got him. He's like,
oh yeah, that's the thing. I mean, I think other teams will allow it, but I don't think that Rooney's, because they don't even allow 1. Like they only give because apparently you're allowed to do 1 to 9 now for certain oppositions or certain positions or something, and they don't even allow that. So,
well, I mean, there's certain unwritten rules, like you can't be 12, you can't be 32.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Just retire the damn numbers already, folks. Let's just not unofficially do stuff.
They retired Ernie Staunter's jersey, which nobody remembers Ernie Staunter. I'm sorry, I love Ernie Staunter's family, but yeah.
yeah. So we'll see, but somebody's gonna try. At least they'll try to get 0. Maybe they'll be denied, but they're gonna try. Because I did see that Darnell Washington. I also saw Darnell Washington like leapfrog people, like hurdle people. Like I could just imagine. Most cornerbacks are like 5'11", 180 or something like that. And you see a 6'7", 280-pound guy coming at you full speed. I'll be like, go ahead, man. Just
right, yeah, exactly. Like hit.
I'll help you along. Just don't hurt me.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Oh man, I'm so excited. And yeah, this is Omar Khan could not have had a better first round, and that the question was, well, how is this going to work? How is this new leadership going to work? How's he going to work with Tomlin and Weidel and all the new people and stuff? And it worked perfectly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's Omar Khan is like, the Steelers took a giant leap from being old and traditional and out of date to being new age. And it's wonderful.
Even the things he did prior to this past weekend set the tone, right? So now you can move Patrick Peterson to strong safety or free safety. If Joey Porter Jr. works out the way they're hoping to, you can put Fitzpatrick back at strong safety. And wow, now you have Fitzpatrick and Peterson at the safeties. I mean, it could be really good, provided everything works out.
What else do they need besides maybe a slot corner? And they did. Did you see that? Oh yeah, they picked up somebody. What's his name?
Oh,
from Minnesota.
Oh, Shandon Sullivan, he sucks.
Well, we know where that stands with Allison.
Yeah, he's allowed like 17 receptions in his very short, 72 receptions in his very short. He's like tied for second most in cornerbacks who played more than 20% of the snap.
You know, they got some decent play out of some guys who were fairly unknown last year at defensive back position, and I think they're fairly set now. They're very deep and they have a lot of talent back there. So they'll be good. I still would have liked, you know, a slot receiver for Kenny Pickett. I would like that guy that was designated for that. And you're going to say that, well, this is a Penn State thing to say. Parker Washington was out there. The kid, the reason he fell so far in the draft is because he only ever played slot. That's all he ever played. He can't play split end. So I kind of thought that would have been a guy I'd like to have seen. Now, you know, they bring the guy in from the Bears. He's played slot a little bit for the Bears. He's probably more of a traditional split end. So that would be the only thing. Kenny needs to find that guy that he's dialed into and is on that same page. You know, that's to me. And maybe they already have a Joe. I don't think they can really go out and get that. But
not at this point, no.
Allowing him the time to find that guy, they did that.
Kenny Pickett can pull out a lawn chair and a nice long novel. That's how long he's going to have back there to look for the receivers.
The picket fence, right?
The picket fence, baby.
So maybe going back to that Sullivan guy, maybe Patrick Peterson had some say in that. So maybe Patrick Peterson sees some kind of like promise in this guy. You know what I mean? Maybe he can like finesse him to make him better than he really is.
If we don't get somebody's kid or somebody's brother, we'll get somebody's friend. That's what we are. It's the Pittsburgh friends and family. They're not the Steelers.
Yeah.
Apparently it's going to be either Arthur Millette or that Shannon Sullivan. And apparently I think Sullivan is like a run specialist slot corner and Millette is, oh no, wait, no, or it might be Millette. Yeah, Millette might be like the pass specialist. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we will.
I mean, because right now, what do you do with Levi Wallace and Akella Witherspoon and James Pierre? Where do they fit in?
They might be able to get something for Wallace. I don't think they'd be able to get something for anybody else, but they might be able to get something for Wallace.
Yeah,
possibly.
That's true.
Oh boy, I'm so excited.
Yeah, me too.
I'm so excited. Come on, get the season started already. Let's go.
Because the next big thing now is the schedule release. So it's like,
which is coming up soon, right?
They're building up. Yeah, it's sometime I think like May 23rd or something like that. They're building. You know, Adele just works his magic. You know what I mean? He's slow. It's a slow release. You know what I mean? And it just stretches out. So the hardcore fans are just addicted like all season long. There's no off season for the really hardcore fans.
No, you're talking about the same guys that you'll find them wearing Steeler jerseys at Pirates games and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Those typical Yinzers. Yep. Yeah.
The NFL draft ratings were through the roof. Just think about that. What do they do at the NFL draft? They read names. Somebody stands up there and reads a name, and millions of people are watching this. When they announce the schedule, it will be a big event, and millions of people will. And we know who the schedule is right now. We just don't know when. What's happening here? People watch the NHL playoffs, and 11 million on a Friday night watched some dude read a name.
Yeah.
NFL is king. It is amazing.
There's never going to be any other league.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Allison. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I just said there's never going to be another league that rivals.
No. no matter what they do. I mean, they
Yeah.
saw the brilliance in this, you know, Paul Tagliabue and all those guys saw this, you know, where in moving the draft from city to city, that was originally his idea, you know, and now somebody else kind of ran with it. But I think it's great that they're kind of moving that around. Although I did say to Joe last week, it needs to be in Pittsburgh here soon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kansas City, that was awesome. Imagine.
It's gonna be in my old hometown next year, Detroit. So I'm very excited.
Yeah. Yep. Detroit next year.
Interesting.
I was like, that sucks.
No, I mean, hey, they'll and it'll look awesome, and it'll, you know, they'll have RoboCop there, and what else? Maybe those are the only two famous people from Detroit. That's
Allison and RoboCop announced.
Allison and RoboCop, and that I'm not a fan of Detroit pizza.
If I were them, and I don't put this past them, because you talk about the brilliance of the NFL, they put the first overall pick. They march Eddie Murphy out there in his Detroit Lions jacket from Beverly Hills Cop. That's what they need to do. And I would not put it past them to do that.
You should email Goodell, man. You'd be like, they would put like they would bring you out as like the best Steelers fan ever, even though maybe you're not. You know, you would be announcing the Steelers pick. Just because you
if they ever have the NFL draft in Pittsburgh, they need to have Yinzers announce all the picks in a thick Yinzer accent.
Right. It's our pick in that.
It's our pick in that. With the fifth pick in the NFL draft, we get Chauncey Smith from downtown.
For the Pittsburgh
from Washington.
Washington. Oh man.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
You're so right excited. Though. They'd get caught up in it like Bradshaw or Mean Joe. No, it's got to be like the three of us or somebody.
Right. Oh yeah.
That's got to go out there.
They shouldn't have it in downtown Pittsburgh. They should have it in like Blawnox or something.
Somebody's wearing like an Eric Pegram jersey. Somebody's wearing like and the other guy's wearing like a Kevin Green jersey. That's how it's got to look. You know, it can't be all the new jerseys.
Lewis Lips. I'll wear my Lewis Lips.
Like, I'll wear my Levon Kirkland jersey. Yeah.
Okay.
99.
Right.
All right, guys. Hey, thanks so much. I was so excited for all week to be talking about this. The draft is finally here. It takes way too long to get to the draft, but we finally had it, and it was awesome.
It's a beautiful thing.
It's a beautiful thing.
It's a beautiful thing.
All right. Hey, thanks, guys. See you.